and good afternoon. Welcome into my second men's basketball recap video, recapping men's basketball in the Crossroads League. And this is my second episode that I have done, and I talked yesterday about the women's side of things, recapping the last two games for that, and that it's hard to believe it's really amazing to be doing these videos, and I'm looking forward to that, and we'll be doing them on a weekly basis, as I alluded to in my video yesterday, talking about the women's side. So we are going to recap the men's basketball side of things from the games last Saturday and the games this past Wednesday night as well. And before we do that, the updated men's top 25 polls have been released, and the biggest one now in terms of those polls, we will get to those, and we have let me make sure that I don't miss anything, and we have the updated top 25 rankings in men's basketball, and the Bethel University Pilots remain number 10 in the country. They're off to a fantastic start this year, and they are 8-0 in the Crossroads League, and they will be traveling to Taylor in Upland, Indiana tomorrow to face off against the Trojans. Grace College Lancers are now up to number 14 in the country. They went up 2 spots since the last poll. The Huntington University Foresters head coach Corey Offord, they are number 18 in the country. They are down 1 spot from the last poll. Spring Arbor is receiving votes, still receiving votes. And then St. Francis, they are back into the receiving votes category. And the biggest shock is Indiana Wesleyan fell out of the top 25 for the first time in over 105 polls. They had an active streak of over 105 straight top 25 polls being ranked within the top 25, and for the first time in several years, they are now receiving votes. And they did, however, they do have 2 wins since then. Of course, the last polls came out Wednesday morning a couple days ago, and the Wildcats had 2 wins against the Mount Vernon Nazarene Cougars last Saturday in Mount Vernon, and picked up a win against the Goshen College Maple Leafs on Wednesday night at home. I will talk more about that in just a second. So those are your updated top 25 polls. On the men's side, I talked yesterday about the women's side of things, recap the top 25 there, and recapped the games from last Saturday and Wednesday night. So now we go to the men's side, and last Saturday, the Huntington University Foresters traveled to Spring Arbor to face off against the Cougars, and this was a really good matchup. Huntington, a top 25 ranked opponent, Spring Arbor receiving votes. Huntington victorious in that game by a final score of 81-64. St. Francis traveled to Indianapolis to take on the Marian University Knights. St. Francis victorious in that game, 72-57. And this was an all-time classic. The Bethel University Pilots traveled to Winona Lake, Indiana to face off against the Grace College Lancers last Saturday. This was a very highly anticipated matchup. 2 teams within the top 20 in terms of the rankings, and the Bethel Pilots, this came down to the wire, and actually came down to the last 5 seconds of the game. The Bethel Pilots came out victorious by a final score of 75-74. The Bethel Pilots hit 2 free throws with 5 seconds to go ahead by 1 point, and that ended up being the final score there. And then we had another all-time classic in Upland, Indiana last Saturday. The Taylor University Trojans hosted the Goshen College Maple Leafs, and the Maple Leafs were trying for their first conference win in several years, and it literally came down to the wire. Goshen, at one point in that game, had, I believe it was a 5 or 6 point lead, and it came down to 3 overtimes for the Taylor Trojans to emerge victorious. 110 to 102 was the final score there. So really, really remarkable that, and really what a game that they had last Saturday in Odell Arena, which is the home arena of the Taylor University Trojans. And then I talked about a minute ago, Indiana Wesleyan came to Mount Vernon Nazarene last Saturday. Indiana Wesleyan victorious in that game by a final score of 84 to 71. And it was a really, really hard-fought game by both teams. So now we are going to recap the games that happened this past Wednesday night, January 15th, starting first with the Bethel University Pilots. They hosted the Spring Arbor Cougars, and it was Bethel being victorious in this game. 73 to 63 was the final score. Now, what's kind of crazy about this game was that with 4 minutes to go, Spring Arbor was up 1 point, 63-62, and in the last 4 minutes, the Pilots went on an 11-0 run to seal the deal and win by 10. Bethel improves to 15-3 on the year, 8-0 in the Crossroads League, whereas Spring Arbor fell to 13-5 overall and 5-3 in the Crossroads League. And a really impressive stat was Gabe Newhoff. Gabe is just playing absolutely amazing basketball with the Spring Arbor Cougars, and he finished 10 of 14 shooting in the game on Wednesday night, 8 rebounds. And Spring Arbor as a team shot 55% from the field, 36 from 3, and 71 at the line. Spring Arbor only got to the line 7 total times in the game on Wednesday night. Meanwhile, for Bethel shot worse from the field at 45%, worse from 3 at just 21, and shot worse at the free throw line, just 69%, 9 of 13 in that one. And then going over to another really high anticipated matchup. This was another really classic game, but Grace College Lancers ranked 14th, visited the receiving votes St. Francis Cougars. Grace emerged victorious 72-65. Grace was down 8 points at halftime and only held St. Francis to 21 points in the second half. And Grace had their hands full, but they were able to pull out the win and avoid the upset. Grace shot 43% from the field, just 20% from 3, which is really uncharacteristic of the Lancers. They are 9 times out of 10 one of the best three-point shooting teams in the Crossroads League. They were really good at the free throw line, 87%. They went to the line 16 times and made 14 of the shots. Meanwhile, for St. Francis, they did shoot slightly worse from the field at just 40%, but they shot way better than Grace from three-point range at 40%, and they shot 75% from the free throw line in that one. And with the win, Grace went to 14-4 in the Crossroads, or 14-4 overall, 6-2 in the Crossroads League. Meanwhile, St. Francis fell to 12-6 overall, 5-3 in the Crossroads League. And now looking at the next matchup from Wednesday night, the Marian University Knights visited the Mount Vernon Nazarene Cougars. This was another game that came down to the nitty-gritty. The Cougars victorious in this game, 66-63. Mount Vernon did hold a 10-point lead at halftime, but were outscored by 7 in the second half. And for the game, Marian shot 34% from the field, just 21 from 3, and 73 at the free throw line. Meanwhile, for Mount Vernon shot 40% from the field, 27 from 3, but shot 90% at the free throw line, and that turned out being the difference maker in that one. And with the win, Mount Vernon goes to 11-7 on the year, 3-5 in the Crossroads League. Meanwhile, for the Marian University Knights, they fall to 8-10 overall, 2-6 in the Crossroads League. Looking at the next matchup, the Taylor University Trojans visited the Huntington University Foresters. Taylor, Taylor's had a really good year, and I know they were, I believe, projected 7th in preseason, but they have just played absolutely outstanding, and they are led by first-year head coach Austin Peters, who has come to Upland, Indiana from the state of Arizona. He worked as an assistant coach for Arizona Christian for the past few seasons, and Austin has made a big impact for the Trojans. And Huntington, though, victorious in that game on Wednesday night by a final score of 82-68. The Foresters led start to finish and led by double digits pretty much the whole entire contest. Taylor shot 37% from the field, just 25 from 3, 73 at the free throw line. And for Huntington, they shot way better from the field and from 3. Huntington shot 46 from the field, 42 from 3. They were worse at the line, though. Taylor was 73% and the Foresters just 60%. And one stat I do want to point out about this game for the Foresters was Jackson Paul. 5 of 11 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, 4 of 4 at the line, 4 rebounds. And Huntington now on the year goes to 8-1 when Jackson Paul scores 10 or more points. So that's obviously a really important stat to look at there. And finally, the last matchup of the night was the Goshen College Maple Leafs at Indiana Wesleyan University. And Goshen came into Marion, Indiana, trying to get their first win in Marion, Indiana against the Wildcats since, I think it was 2009, I believe. And Goshen, they were down 15 points at halftime, but outscored Indiana Wesleyan by 7 in the second half. Now, one key note in this game, Indiana Wesleyan led by 20 points with 7 minutes to go, and Goshen went on a 15-4 run to end the game, but Indiana Wesleyan was able to win the game at the free throw line in the late stages. Goshen, even though they remain winless in the conference, they are playing their best basketball that they've played in several years. They shot 43% from the field, 50 from 3, just 80% from the free throw line, which is still really good. 12 of 15 at the line for Goshen, 80%. And what's crazy is for Indiana Wesleyan has the same exact free throw percentage as Goshen in that game Wednesday night. Indiana Wesleyan also went 12 of 15 from the line for 80%. And they were and of course Indiana Wesleyan had a tremendous game led by Isaac Andrews, who's a freshman off the bench. 7 of 10 shooting, 5 of 8 from 3, 4 rebounds, good for 19 points in the game. Peyton Bird, 2 of 4 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3, and just 11 minutes of action. And Bright Kari, 2 of 3 shooting, had 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. Cademan Bontrager, a redshirt sophomore from Lafayette, Indiana, 6 of 11 shooting, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Marcus Agney, 2 of 7 shooting, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. Freshman Jake Smith got the starting role on Wednesday night. He played really well in his starting debut. 7 of 13 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and an off-shooting game for senior from Lee's Summit, Missouri, Griffin Cleawer. And if you're interested, or maybe you're saying, well, how's that spelled? Well, his last name is spelled Kliewer. And he had an off-shooting game, 2 of 10 shooting, 0 of 6 from 3, but he was a perfect 6 of 6 from a line, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal. And DJ Moore, 3 of 4 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3, 5 of 5 at the line, 3 rebounds, 4 assists as well. And with the win in Indiana Wesleyan, I mentioned earlier, they are now receiving votes in the Crossroads League. They go to 13-5 overall, 3-5 in the Crossroads League. Goshen, however, falls to 5-13 overall, and they are still looking for their first conference win in what seems like a long time. They are 0-8 in the Crossroads League. And those are your updated recaps on the men's side from the last 2 games. And I will be recording videos next Thursday and Friday. Well, actually, it might be sooner than that, because after the games tomorrow, we don't have any more games until next Saturday when officially the second half of conference play kicks off. Now, we are going to have bitter cold next week, so I'm going to try and upload the videos recapping the games tomorrow, maybe on Monday. In fact, I might do it on Monday, but for sure by the end of next week. And then, of course, following that, I'll be back to the regular schedule the following week, uploading videos recapping the games from the 25th and 29th on Thursday the 30th. Actually, I might have to do both videos recapping those two games on the 30th. I'm not quite sure yet. Maybe I'll do the men's recap on Friday the 31st. It depends on my schedule on that day, but for sure I'll at least have the women's recap done on Thursday the 30th, recapping the games from next Saturday and, of course, the following Wednesday on the 29th. And looking at all the games on the calendar for tomorrow, and, of course, this is the men's side. St. Francis will travel to Spring Arbor, so that should be a really good game. Huntington will be traveling to Goshen to take on the Maple Leafs, and this should be another good game. The number 10 Bethel Pilots will be heading to Upland, Indiana to take on the Taylor University Trojans. Mount Vernon Nazarene will be traveling to Winona Lake, Indiana to take on the Grace College Lancers. And Indiana Wesleyan Receiving Votes will be traveling to Indianapolis to take on the Knights of Marion. And all of those games will be a 3 p.m. start tomorrow. The only exception, St. Francis and Spring Arbor men will be a 1 o'clock start tomorrow. That's just how Spring Arbor scheduled things this year, where the men play first and the women play second. So those will be the starting times tomorrow for the men's side. And then and real quick, I do want to touch on Cyan Mohammed for Goshen. This is on the women's side. I talked yesterday in my video. I was not 100% sure if it was her or Zion Neat that accumulated 1,000 career points. It was Mohammed, so she did achieve that milestone for the Lady Maple Leafs in their game at Indiana Wesleyan Wednesday night, so congratulations to her. And looking at the women's games for tomorrow, of course, Huntington will be traveling to Goshen. That will be a 1 p.m. start. Bethel will be at Taylor. Mount Vernon will be at Grace. Indiana Wesleyan will be at Marion. And St. Francis will be at Spring Arbor. So those are your game schedules for tomorrow. And looking at the men's standings, lastly, Bethel, the 1 seed at 15-3 overall, 8-0 in the Crossroads League. They are a perfect 9-0 at home. They're on a 5-game winning streak. The Grace College Lancers in second place, 14-4 overall, 6-2 in the Crossroads League. The Spring Arbor Cougars are tied for the 3 seed right now, 5-3 in the Crossroads League for Spring Arbor, 13-5 overall. St. Francis also tied for the 4 seed, but currently sitting in 5th place because of a better overall record for Spring Arbor. St. Francis, the 5 seed, 12-6 overall, 5-3 in the Crossroads League. And then sitting in 6th place right now, or sitting I stand corrected, sitting in 3rd place was Spring Arbor, 13-5, 5-3 in conference. Sitting in 4th, St. Francis, 12-6 overall, 5-3 in the Crossroads League. Huntington now up to the 5 seed at 14-4 overall, 4-4 in the Crossroads League. Taylor falls to the 6 seed at 4-4 in league play, 11-7 overall. The Trojans 7-2 at home, 2-5 on the road. And the reason for that, Huntington and Taylor being tied at 4-4, Huntington being ahead of them because of the head-to-head tiebreaker. Indiana Wesleyan, the 7 seed, 13-5 overall, 3-5 in the Crossroads League. Mount Vernon Nazarene, 11-7 overall, 3-5 in league play. Mount Vernon is the 8 seed right now. Indiana Wesleyan, the 7 seed right now. And the reason for that, Indiana Wesleyan, of course, beating Mount Vernon Nazarene last Saturday here in Mount Vernon. Indiana Wesleyan holding that head-to-head tiebreaker. Marion is 1 game out of the playoffs right now, 8-10 overall, 2-6 in the Crossroads League. And the Goshen College Maple Leafs on a 4-game losing streak, 5-13 overall, 0-8 in the Crossroads League. Goshen is 1-8 on the road. Marion has lost 3 straight games. They're 4-5 on the road, 4-4 at home though. So obviously, having home court advantage is important, and those are the updated standings that we have for the men's side going into the games tomorrow. So very important games coming up for all the teams tomorrow, and really every single game's important moving forward. And of course, you have just so many teams, and the men's side is really, really competitive this year. The women's side is as well, but the men's side, it's still wide open, really from fifth on down, only separated by one game. So at least the teams currently seeded 5th through 8th, only separated by one game. So obviously a lot can change. And after tomorrow, the first half of conference play will be over. Everybody will have a 1-week break until next Saturday, when the second half of conference play resumes. So thanks so much for watching this video. And if you are enjoying this content, please either like this video, leave me a comment below, or subscribe to my channel. Any one of those 3 options really help me a lot, and it means a lot to me to have any feedback that you may have. And again, thanks so much for watching this video, and have a great weekend and upcoming week ahead.